Okay, for this lesson, all you need is a pen or fineliner and some paper, maybe pencil. I'll be using these three fineliners of different sizes. The thinnest one, 0.1 millimeter, the middle size, 0.3 millimeter, and the thickest one, 1 millimeter. If you don't have these sizes, no worries. Feel free to use whatever you have on hand. I just want to show you what the possibilities are. For each exercise, I will explain the process of drawing bricks or stones first and demonstrate how to draw a few. And after that, I fill rectangles and add shadows and textures to make it look more interesting. You don't need to draw such big rectangles, of course. You can draw smaller ones or only do a few bricks, but you know, the more you practice, the better the result. Okay, so let's start with a classic texture, the brick wall. And I want to show you different styles of drawing a brick wall that you can use for some other textures like stone or painted wood walls. If you are unsure of drawing with a fineliner, I suggest using pencil first. Draw a few guidelines to help yourself a bit, but don't draw the whole pattern with a pencil because I'm sure you can handle it further. And you also don't want to make a sketch too tight, right? I will start with a 0.3 millimeter fineliner. If you have 0.1 millimeter, it's also great, or any other fineliner. The first one, I start with the brick here and I draw it like this. And the next one, I leave some space between them and I draw here the next one. And we can draw them all like very straight, but we also can say some of them will be a little bit less beautiful. You see it sometimes that the bricks are not perfect, and for example like this. Okay, and the next row will start at the half of the first one, the first brick, and then we draw the next one, and in this one I make the corners more rounded, and we also can make them even more rounded, and you can see I don't draw them perfectly, and we're just practicing, so don't worry if some of them are a little bit less beautiful. And here again we look at this line and we draw the next row. Okay, so here are the bricks, but do they look very exciting? I don't think so. I think we can make them a little bit more interesting. How to do that? If we look at the bricks, we can see that there are a lot of oddities on it. I would say let's try to add some dust to them to make them look a little bit more interesting. Here and there, not on every brick, of course. We also don't want to look them all the same, so we try to change the place on the bricks and spread them a little bit, okay? And here, and now I think we have enough of them. Another thing we can add to the bricks is, for example, I can use here a thinner fineliner, and we can add some kind of shadow. Because when we see bricks in reality, we can notice that they are not perfectly straight. There are some weird edges sometimes. So we can draw a few lines to create this kind of uneven edge. And I also don't want to add them to all the bricks. A little bit of hatching. And this is just, it's not a lot of hatching. I mean, you don't need to know how to do hatching. You just draw a few lines here and there. And I think here are a few dots too. Okay, and now they look a little bit more interesting, but we also can add more shadow to them to make them even more interesting. And then you can see them pop up like this. So, and as you can see, I add shadows only on one side because I assume that the light source comes from this side. So I draw shadow only on this side of the bricks. Okay, and here. And we can also add a little bit thicker dots. Okay, and here we are.